With just less than a week to go, former US President and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is driving anti-immigration fears in his final arguments in the race to the White House. At a rally at Madison Square Garden, Trump called United States an occupied state, reaffirming his hardline stance on immigration and promised to deporting millions of undocumented immigrants if he wins the 2024 presidential race. Trump's rally also drew a lot of flak after some of Trump's top supporters flung race-based and vulgar rhetoric. Former congressional candidate David Rem called Harris the antichrist and the devil, while comedian Tony Hinchcliffe called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Listen in to what Donald Trump had to say on this.
The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day.
Joining me at this moment to shed more light on this and discuss this further, Jonah Blank, former advisor to President Biden, National University of Singapore and Rand Corporation. We also have Matt Klink, Republican strategist, and Ajay Sharma, immigration expert, is also joining us at this moment. Just to understand, Mr. Klink, I want to start with you and try and get this in perspective. The immigration problem is not something which is new to people of United States. This has been spoken about time and again, but to take it to a notch of calling United States an occupied country, is Mr. Trump only playing on fears of the voters?
Oh, sir, with all due respect, the Biden and Harris administration has let 10.4 million illegal people into this country through an open southern border. I would add single-age, military-age fighting males from countries all over the world. It is far and above the most extreme illegal immigration problem that our nation has ever experienced since its foundation. And that's why illegal immigration is either a top one or a top two issue for the United States voters this election. And Trump overwhelmingly has an advantage by, I think he's like plus 15 or almost plus 20. So it's impacted everyone. There's significant murders conducted by people who are in this country illegally. The fentanyl crisis, the Biden administration and the Harris administration admit they have lost. Think about that. They have lost 380,000 children in this country who came here illegally. They're not inflaming fears. They're acknowledging a problem that is 100% created by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Okay, but Mr. Blank, Kamala Harris has already said that on immigration, the policies of the current administration or the outgoing administration of Mr. Biden is not going to continue. Shouldn't that be taken as an acceptance that there were problems as far as the immigration policy in the current regime is concerned?
Well, immigration is broken in the U.S. Kamala Harris says so, but it's broken primarily because of Donald Trump. The Democrats and the Republicans hammered out an agreement to solve this problem, and it was taken off the table by Donald Trump purely for political reasons. And let's be clear, this is not really an immigration problem that Trump is talking about. It's a racist attack. Donald Trump's grandparents were immigrants. Kamala Harris's parents were immigrants. What is the difference? Donald Trump's grandparents were white, and the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump and of his supporters is flat out racist, and it makes me embarrassed as an American.
Mr. Klink, that is something also that has come as a criticism of President Trump, that in garb of the immigration policies or his criticism of the immigration policies, his supporters and he himself is raising a lot of racial comments. There is a fear factor which is being created and which also then plays out on the streets of United States.
Well, first of all, you have to make a clear distinction between legal immigration and illegal immigration. 10.4 million people the size of the state of Michigan, coming to this country over the time that the Biden and Harris administration have been in office. That's not racist. That's just a problem. If your country doesn't have secure borders, you don't have a country, and we do not. This is an issue that's impacting all 50 states, and Jonah can cry racism all he wants. The overwhelming majority of American voters, including many Latino voters, believe that illegal immigration is a problem and that people who are in this country illegally should be deported. Stand in line, follow the law, come into our country legally. Don't try to sneak in.
Let me also ask you then a follow-up question. How feasible is Donald Trump's plan to shut down the borders to illegal immigration within the first hour of the day? I mean, is it even feasible to, in fact, go ahead and just do it right with a stroke of a pen?
Well, look, Joe Biden came into office in his first hour. I think it was, 9 or 10 executive orders that he repealed for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump will go back and reinsert the Remain in Mexico policy. He'll do a lot of things to stem the flow. We're certainly not going to have the massive numbers that we've seen under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Okay. And ultimately, we'll hopefully get to zero.
Ajay Sharma, I just want to bring you in to try and understand the perspective because there are a lot of Indians, those who are legally living in United States. Is there a fear factor? And, how is it impacting the Indians, those who are living and working in United States?
Well, to be very realistic, I think what Matt said made a lot of sense, that we should distinguish between legal and illegal immigration. I guess what Mr. Trump is talking about primarily is the illegal immigration that's coming in, and that's kind of the key issue. As far as India is concerned, India always gains through legal migration. And if my memory corrects, really serves me right, in the later part of his tenure, last tenure of Mr. Trump, he was very clear that USA should also introduce, as part of the legal immigration, a simple, like in Australia and Canada, for professionals, a good program that brings in legal migrants rather than people who primarily do not serve the systemic requirements of American government, really. So overall, this serves the interest of India.
Mr. Blank, let me then ask you this. Instead of, calling what Mr. Trump is saying just as a racist attack, is there an alternate vision, a plan that Kamala Harris has that she will put in place if she's elected to power?
Yes, and in fact, Congress was on the verge of passing it. Not just Democrats, but very conservative Republicans led by Senator Langford of Kansas hammered out an agreement to end the problems that we all have been seeing. It was Donald Trump who told Republicans in Congress not to vote for it because he wanted the issue rather than a solution.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.